Marcus Stone walked down Fifth Avenue, his Italian leather shoes clicking against the sidewalk. At 45, he had everything money could buy, except the one thing his heart truly wanted. 20 years ago, he had let Angela Williams slip away, and not a day went by that he didn't regret it. His phone buzzed with another message from his assistant about the upcoming board meeting. Marcus owned Stone Enterprises, one of the largest real estate development companies in New York. The empire he built kept him busy, too busy to think about the past. At least that's what he told himself. "Mr. Stone, your coffee," said Thomas, the doorman at his office building, handing him his usual morning brew. Marcus nodded and walked into the gleaming lobby of Stone Tower. Everyone knew him here. The cleaning staff, the security guards, the executives. They all showed him the respect a billionaire deserved. But none of them knew about the photo he kept in his desk drawer, a faded picture of a young black woman with the most beautiful smile he had ever seen. The morning meeting dragged on as his development team presented plans for a new luxury complex in Brooklyn. Marcus barely paid attention. His mind wandered to that summer 20 years ago, when he was just starting out and Angela was a law student working part-time at his father's company. "We need your final approval on this, Mr. Stone," said Jennifer, his head of operations, snapping him back to reality. "Send the documents to my office. I'll review them later," Marcus replied, standing up abruptly. "I need some air." He loosened his tie as he walked out onto the busy street. His driver was waiting with the car, but Marcus waved him away. Sometimes he needed to walk, to feel like a normal person again, not just a wealthy businessman trapped in meetings all day. That's when he saw them. Two little girls, identical twins, playing hopscotch on the sidewalk. They couldn't have been more than 6 or 7 years old. Their matching pink dresses and perfectly braided hair caught his attention first. But it was their faces that made his heart stop. They had Angela's eyes, her smile. Even the way they laughed reminded him of her. Marcus stood frozen, watching the twins play. Then he saw her. Walking toward the girls was Angela Williams, the woman he had never stopped loving. She looked even more beautiful than he remembered, her dark skin glowing in the morning sun, her hair styled in elegant braids. "Jasmine, Crystal, time to go," Angela called out to the twins. Marcus couldn't breathe. His mind raced with calculations. 20 years, the twins' age. Could they be? Angela looked up and saw him. The smile disappeared from her face. She quickly gathered the girls, trying to hurry them along. "Mama, one more game." One of the twins pleaded. "Mama." The word hit Marcus like a punch to the gut. "Angela," he called out, finding his voice. "Angela, wait." She froze for a moment, then turned to face him. The years melted away, and suddenly they were both young again, standing in his father's office, where he had made the biggest mistake of his life. "Hello, Marcus," she said quietly, holding onto her daughter's hands. "It's been a long time." The twins looked up at him curiously. Their eyes, his eyes, studied his face with innocent interest. Are they? Marcus couldn't finish the question. Angela straightened her spine, lifting her chin with the quiet dignity he remembered so well. "Yes, Marcus, these are your daughters." The world seemed to tilt on its axis. All these years he had daughters, beautiful, perfect little girls who shared his blood but knew nothing about him. "Why didn't you tell me?" he whispered, his voice rough with emotion. "You made your choice very clear back then," Angela replied. "Your father's approval meant more to you than our love. You chose your inheritance over me." The twins looked between their mother and this stranger, sensing the tension but too young to understand its source. "Mama, we'll be late for school," one of them said, tugging at Angela's hand. "Of course, baby." Angela smiled down at her daughter, then looked back at Marcus. "We need to go." "Please," Marcus said quickly. "Can we talk? There's so much I need to say, so much I need to know about them." Angela hesitated, looking at her daughter's faces, his daughter's faces. Finally, she pulled a business card from her purse. "I'm a partner at Williams & Associates now," she said, handing him the card. "My office number is on there." Marcus took the card like it was made of gold. A successful lawyer, just like she'd always dreamed of. Becoming. Call my assistant to set up an appointment, Angela continued. We can talk then, but Marcus... She paused, her eyes serious. These girls are my whole world. Don't come back into their lives unless you plan to stay. With that, she led the twins away, their little pink dresses disappearing into the crowd of pedestrians. Marcus stood there, the business card burning in his hand, his world completely transformed in the space of 5 minutes. Back in his office, he cancelled all his meetings for the day. He couldn't focus on business now, not when he had just discovered he was a father to 2 beautiful little girls who had grown up without him. He pulled out the old photo from his desk drawer, studying Angela's young face. He had let his father manipulate him back then, convince him that marrying a black woman from a modest background would ruin his future in high society. Now looking at that photo, he realized his future had walked away that day, taking 2 precious secrets with her. Marcus picked up his phone, his finger hovering over the numbers on Angela's business card. He had spent 20 years building an empire of glass and steel, but what good was any of it without love? Without family? He had made the wrong choice once before. He wouldn't make the same mistake again. Marcus sat in his penthouse office, staring at Angela's business card for the 100th time. 3 days had passed since their chance encounter on the street, and he hadn't been able to think about anything else. The twins' faces haunted his dreams. His secretary knocked on the door. "Mr. Stone, your father is here to see you." Marcus tensed. Richard Stone, at 75, still had the power to make him feel like that insecure young man who had given up the love of his life to please him. "Send him in, Sandra." Richard Stone walked in, leaning on his gold-handled cane. Age had turned his hair white, but his eyes were as sharp as ever. "I heard some interesting gossip at the club," Richard said. Without preamble, "Someone saw you talking to that Williams girl on 5th Avenue. Marcus gripped his desk. Even after all these years, his father still called Angela that Williams girl, as if she were nothing. "Her name is Angela, father, and she's not a girl anymore. She's a successful lawyer and a mother." Richard's face darkened. "So it's true then, you saw her?" "Yes, I saw her, and I saw my daughters too." "The daughters you made me abandon before I even knew they existed." Richard sank into a chair, his face pale. "Daughters? That's impossible. Twin girls. They're 6 or 7 years old, and they look just like me." Marcus stood up, his anger finally breaking free. "Did you know? When you forced Angela and me apart, did you know she was pregnant?" "Of course not," Richard snapped. "And what difference would it have made? You were going to marry Catherine Montgomery and take over the family business. That was the plan." "The plan?" Marcus laughed bitterly. "Yes, I married Catherine, and she left me 2 years later for her tennis instructor, taking half my money with her. Was that part of the plan too?" Richard waved his hand dismissively. "You recovered. Look at you now. One of the most successful developers in New York. I'm successful and alone, and somewhere out there, I have 2 little girls who don't even know I'm their father." "Keep your voice down," Richard hissed. "Do you have any idea what this could do to our reputation? To the business?" Marcus walked to the window, looking out at the city he had helped build. "I don't care anymore, father. I'm going to make this right." "Don't be a fool," Richard warned. "That woman has lived without you for 20 years. She's probably just after your money now." Marcus turned to face his father, seeing him clearly for the first time. "Angela made partner at one of the top law firms in the city. She doesn't need my money. And if you ever speak about her like that again, we're done. You would choose them over your own father. I'm choosing love over hate. I'm choosing my daughters over your prejudice. And I'm choosing to be a better man than you raised me." "Toby!" Richard struggled to his feet, his face red with anger. "If you do this, you'll regret it." "No, father. My only regret is that I listened to you 20 years ago." After his father left, Marcus finally picked up the phone and called Angela's office. "Williams and Associates, how may I direct your call?" "This is Marcus Stone. I'd like to make an appointment with Ms. Williams." There was a pause. "One moment, Mr. Stone." A few minutes later, Angela's assistant came on the line. "Ms. Williams can see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Will that work for you?" "Yes, thank you." Marcus spent the rest of the day in a daze. He cancelled his dinner meeting with potential investors and drove around the city instead. He found himself outside Angela's law firm, a prestigious building in the financial district. Through the windows, he could see people working late, their offices lit up against the darkening sky. Had Angela worked late nights to get where she was? Had she struggled to raise their daughters alone while building her career? The guilt ate at him. He drove past expensive private schools, wondering which one the twins attended. What were their favorite subjects? Did they like sports? Did they have his love for architecture or Angela's passion for justice? His phone rang. It was his father's number, but he didn't answer. There was nothing left to say between them. Back at his apartment, Marcus poured himself a drink and looked at old photos on his phone. He found one from 20 years ago, a company party where he and Angela had first met. She was working as a summer intern, and he was fresh out of business school, eager to prove himself to his father. He remembered how she challenged him, questioned his assumptions about everything. She made him think about the human cost of development, about displacing communities to build luxury condos. She made him want to be better. That night, Marcus barely slept. He got up early and spent an hour choosing his suit, feeling like a nervous teenager. At 1:30, he arrived at Angela's office building. The receptionist directed him to the 18th floor. The elevator doors opened to reveal a sleek law office. Awards and certificates lined the walls, many bearing Angela's name. A young assistant looked up from her desk. "Mr. Stone? Ms. Williams will see you now." Marcus followed her down a hallway to a corner office. Through the glass walls, he could see Angela standing at her desk reviewing documents. She looked up as he entered, and his heart skipped a beat. "Hello, Marcus," she said, gesturing to a chair. "Please, sit down." He sat, noticing the photos. On her desk, the twins in their school uniforms, the twins at a birthday party, the twins hugging their mother. A whole life he had missed. "Their names are Jasmine and Crystal," Angela said, following his gaze. "Jasmine is older by 2 minutes, and she never lets Crystal forget it." Marcus smiled, drinking in every detail. "They're beautiful, just like their mother." Angela's professional mask slipped for a moment. "Why are you here, Marcus? Really?" "Because I want to know my daughters, because I want to make up for 20 years of mistakes, because—" He took a deep breath. "Because I never stopped loving you." Angela closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, they were filled with unshed tears. "Love isn't enough, Marcus. It wasn't enough then, and it might not be enough now." "Then tell me what is enough. Tell me what I need to do to be part of their lives, part of your life." Angela stood up and walked to her window. "Do you know what it was like, being pregnant and alone? Having your father's lawyers pressure me to sign away my rights? Building a career while raising 2 little girls?" Marcus felt each word like a knife to his heart. "I'm so sorry, Angela. If I had known, would it have made a difference?" She turned to face him. "Would you have stood up to your father then?" "I stand up to him now," Marcus said quietly. "I told him about the twins today. I told him I'm going to be part of their lives, whether he likes it or not." Angela studied his face for a long moment. "The girls have dance class on Thursdays at 4, the Downtown Dance Academy on West 14th Street. If you want to see them, you can meet us there." Marcus stood up, his heart pounding. "Thank you, Angela. I won't let you down. Not again." As he turned to leave, Angela called out, "Marcus, they don't know about you yet. Let me tell them first in my own way." He nodded, understanding the gift she was giving him, a chance to know his daughters, to be their father, a chance to make things right. Walking out of her office, Marcus felt lighter than he had in years. Tomorrow was Thursday. Tomorrow he would begin the journey of becoming the father his daughters deserved. Thursday afternoon came both too quickly and too slowly for Marcus. He arrived at the Downtown Dance Academy 30 minutes early, parking his Mercedes across the street. His hands were sweating as he watched mothers and their children going in and out of the building. Sandra, his secretary, had cleared his entire afternoon schedule. She didn't ask questions when he told her to reschedule all his meetings, but he could see the curiosity in her eyes. For 20 years, Marcus Stone never rescheduled meetings for personal reasons. A sleek black SUV pulled up to the curb. Marcus's heart started racing when he saw Angela step out, helping the twins from their car seats. They were wearing matching purple leotards, their hair done up in perfect buns. One of them was carrying a pink dance bag, while the other clutched a stuffed unicorn. "Come on, girls," Angela called out. "We don't want to be late." Marcus got out of his car, his legs feeling unsteady. Angela saw him and nodded slightly, acknowledging his presence. The twins were too busy chattering about their day at school to notice him. "Mama Emily said she's having a unicorn birthday party," one of the twins said excitedly. "That's nice, Crystal," Angela replied, guiding them toward the building. So that was Crystal with the stuffed unicorn. Marcus tried to memorize every detail that would help him tell his daughters apart. "Ms. Williams," Marcus said formally as they approached. "Thank you for allowing me to be here." The twins looked up at him curiously. Jasmine, the one without the unicorn, moved slightly behind her mother. "Girls," Angela said softly, "this is Mr. Stone. He's an old friend of Mama's." "Hello," Crystal said brightly while Jasmine just waved shyly. "Hello," Marcus replied, his voice thick with emotion. "I hear you're taking dance classes. Do you like it?" "I love ballet." Crystal hugged her unicorn. "I'm going to be a ballerina when I grow up." "No, you're not," Jasmine spoke up. "Yesterday, you said you wanted to be a veterinarian." "I can be both," Crystal insisted. Angela checked her watch. "Girls, you need to get inside. Miss Karen doesn't like it when you're late." The twins hurried into the building, their little ballet slippers, making soft sounds on the sidewalk. Marcus watched them go, trying to burn the image into his memory. "Would you like to get coffee?" Angela asked. "We have an hour until class ends." There was a small cafe next door to the dance studio. They sat at a table by the window where they could see the entrance to the academy. "They're amazing," Marcus said, stirring his untouched coffee. "Crystal seems so outgoing and Jasmine is more reserved like you were at that age," Angela finished. "Yes, they're quite different despite looking identical." How did you do it? Raise them alone while building your career?" Angela's hands tightened around her cup. "My parents helped a lot. They watched the girls while I finished law school. And then there was Mrs. Johnson from next door who would babysit when I had late meetings." "I should have been there," Marcus said quietly. "I should have been the one helping." "Yes, you should have." Angela's voice was firm but not angry. "But you weren't and we survived. The girls are happy, healthy and loved." "Have they ever asked about their father?" Angela nodded slowly. "They started asking around kindergarten when they noticed other kids had dads. I told them their father lived far away." "What else did you tell them?" "That he was a good man who couldn't be with us, but that didn't mean he didn't love them." Angela met his eyes. "I never wanted them to feel unwanted, Marcus. I never told them the whole truth about why you weren't there." Marcus felt tears threatening to fall. "Thank you for that. But they deserve to know the truth now. I want to be part of their lives if you'll let me." "It's not that simple," Angela sighed. "They're at a sensitive age. They're starting to understand more about the world, about differences between people. Your father's prejudices—" "My father is not a part of this," Marcus interrupted. "I meant what I said in your office. I'm done letting him control my life." "And what about your business partners, your social circle? Are you ready for everyone to know you have 2 black daughters?" "I don't care what anyone thinks. I've wasted 20 years caring about the wrong things." Marcus leaned forward. "Angela, please, give me a chance to be their father." Angela was quiet for a long moment, watching the people pass by outside. "We'll take it slow," she finally said. "Maybe you could come to their dance recital next month. Start spending time with them gradually, let them get to know you first. And then, when the time is right, we'll tell them who you really are." The door of the dance studio opened, and a stream of little girls in leotards came out. Crystal spotted them through the window and waved enthusiastically. Jasmine followed her sister's gaze and offered a small smile. "Mr. Stone." Crystal bounced over to their table. "Are you going to watch us dance every week?" Marcus looked at Angela, who gave a slight nod. "If that's okay with you and your sister," he said. "Can he, Mama?" Crystal turned to Angela. "He can see my split. Miss Karen says I'm getting really good at splits." "We'll see," Angela said diplomatically. Right now we need to get home and start homework." As they walked back to their cars, Jasmine tugged on Marcus's sleeve. "Do you like unicorns?" she asked quietly. Marcus knelt down to her level. "I think unicorns are magical. Do you like them too?" Jasmine nodded. "Crystal lets me play with her unicorn sometimes, but I want my own." "Jasmine," Angela called. "Time to go, baby." Marcus watched them drive away, his heart fuller than it had been in years. When he got back to his office, there was a message from his father. "The board wants to meet tomorrow. They're concerned about rumors they've heard. Call me immediately." Marcus deleted the message without listening to the rest. Let them worry. Let them gossip. None of it mattered anymore. He opened his laptop and started searching for toy stores that sold unicorns. If he was going to be a father, he was going to do it right this time. That night, alone in his penthouse, Marcus looked out at the city lights and made a silent promise to his daughters. He would prove himself worthy of their love, no matter what it cost him. He would build them a world where they never had to choose between love and success, where they never had to hide who they were or who they loved, and maybe, just maybe, he would find a way to win back their mother's heart in the process. The board meeting was exactly as tense as Marcus expected. 10 men in expensive suits sat around the mahogany conference table, with his father at the head. Richard Stone's face was a mask of cold anger. "Marcus, the board has some concerns about recent developments," Richard began. "There are rumors circulating about a secret family." Marcus straightened his tie and stood up. "They're not rumors and they're not secret. I have 2 daughters. They're 7 years old, and I recently found out about them. Their mother is Angela Williams." The room erupted in whispers. Harold Montgomery, Catherine's father and one of the major shareholders, turned red in the face. "The black lawyer, this is outrageous," Harold sputtered. "Think about the shareholders, the company image." "I am thinking about what matters," Marcus replied calmly. "My daughters matter, their mother matters." Richard slammed his hand on the table. "This is exactly what I warned you about. That woman is trying to extort money from you after all these years." "Her name is Angela," Marcus said, his voice dangerously quiet. "She's one of the top lawyers in the city. She doesn't need my money. And if anyone in this room says another word against her or my daughters, you'll be hearing from her firm's legal team." The threat hung in the air. Everyone knew Angela's reputation as a fierce corporate lawyer. "Now," Marcus continued, "unless there's actual business to discuss, I have a dance recital to attend." He walked out, leaving the board members stunned. His phone buzzed with a message from Angela. "Girls are excited to show you their dance routine. Don't be late." At the dance studio, the atmosphere was chaotic with excited children and nervous parents. Marcus found Angela sitting near the front, saving him a seat. "You look like you've had a rough morning," she said as he sat down. "Board meeting, they found out about the girls." Angela tensed. And nothing, they'll deal with it. "I'm not hiding my daughters anymore." Before Angela could respond, the music started. Crystal and Jasmine came out with their class, all wearing sparkly purple tutus. Marcus felt his throat tighten with emotion as he watched them dance. Jasmine was precise and focused, counting each step carefully. Crystal added her own little flourishes, earning some chuckles from the audience. They were perfect. After the recital, Marcus pulled 2 identical gift bags from his car. "I got something for the girls. If it's okay with you," he said to Angela. She nodded, and he approached the twins, who were still buzzing with post-performance energy. "You both danced beautifully," he said, handing them the bags. "I thought you might like these." Crystal pulled out a white unicorn with rainbow hair. Jasmine's was black with silver stars on its mane. Both girls squealed with delight. "Look, Mama!" Jasmine held up her unicorn. "It has stars just like my bedroom." Marcus caught Angela's eye. She hadn't told him about Jasmine's star-themed bedroom. It was just a lucky guess, but it felt like a sign. "Mr. Stone," Crystal asked, hugging her unicorn, "are you coming to our birthday party next week? Mama's making cupcakes and we're having it in the park." Marcus looked at Angela, who seemed surprised by the invitation. "Please, Mama," Jasmine added. "He can help us name our unicorns." Angela sighed. "If Mr. Stone isn't too busy with work." "I'll be there," Marcus said quickly. "Just tell me when and where." Later that evening, Marcus got a call from his sister Patricia. Dad told me everything, she said without preamble. Is it true? Do I have nieces? Yes, Pat, they're amazing. You'd love them. Why didn't you tell me? I'm your sister. Marcus rubbed his temples. I just found out myself. It's complicated. It's always complicated with you, Marcus. Patricia paused. Does this have something to do with that woman you were dating in college? The one Dad made you break up with? Her name is Angela. And yes, she's their mother. Patricia was quiet for a moment. Bring them to Sunday dinner. Mom would love to meet her granddaughters. Pat, it's not that simple. Angela and I are just starting to figure things out. Figure things out faster. Those girls deserve to know their family. All of their family. After hanging up, Marcus called Angela. My sister knows, he said when she answered. She wants to meet the girls. Marcus... Angela's voice was cautious. I know. We're taking it slow. But Pat's different from my father. She'd love them. Your sister was at that dinner, Angela said quietly. The one where your father told me I'd never be good enough for his son. She didn't say a word to defend me. The memory hit Marcus like a physical pain. She's changed, Angela. We've all changed. Have you? Have you really? Angela sighed. The girls love their new unicorns. Thank you for that. But Marcus, they're starting to get attached to you. If you're going to walk away again... I won't, he interrupted. I swear it. Don't make promises you can't keep, Angela said softly. Just be there on Saturday. 2 o'clock at Central Park near the carousel. And Marcus, they like chocolate cupcakes. The call ended, leaving Marcus with a mix of hope and anxiety. He needed to prove to Angela that he had changed, that he was strong enough now to stand up for what mattered. His phone buzzed again. A message. From his father. You're making a mistake. Think about your future. Marcus typed back, I am thinking about my future. My real future, with my daughters. Then he blocked his father's number and started looking up recipes for chocolate cupcakes. He had a birthday party to prepare for, and this time he wasn't going to let anyone stop him from being there for his family. Saturday morning dawned bright and clear, perfect weather for a birthday party in the park. Marcus had been up since dawn, nervous energy making it impossible to sleep. He'd ordered 2 dozen chocolate cupcakes from the city's best bakery, then worried that wasn't enough and ordered another dozen. His doorman helped him load everything into his car, the cupcakes, 2 identical pink bicycles with training wheels, and a stack of wrapped presents. Maybe he'd gone overboard, but he had 7 years of birthdays to make up for. Big day? The doorman asked, eyeing all the gifts. My daughter's birthday, Marcus said, the words feeling strange and wonderful on his tongue. They're turning 7. The doorman's eyebrows shot up. Everyone knew Marcus Stone was famously single, but he just smiled and said, Have fun, sir. At Central Park, Angela was already setting up decorations near the carousel. She'd strung purple and pink streamers between the trees, and balloons danced in the breeze. The twins were helping her, still in their matching pajamas. Mr. Stone. Crystal spotted him first. You came. Of course I came, Marcus said, his heart melting as both girls ran to hug him. They'd never hugged him before. Happy birthday. Angela walked over, looking at the mountain of presents in his car. Marcus, this is too much. It's their birthday, he said simply. We've never had so many presents, Jasmine exclaimed, bouncing. On her toes. Girls, go change into your party dresses, Angela told them. Your friends will be here soon. Once the twins were out of earshot, Angela turned to Marcus. You can't buy their love, you know. I'm not trying to, I want them to have everything. Angela's expression softened. They already have everything they need. They have love, security, each other. And now they have me too, Marcus said quietly. If you'll let me be part of their lives. Before Angela could respond, cars started arriving with party guests. Soon the area was filled with excited 7-year-olds and their parents. Marcus noticed the curious looks from the other parents, the whispered conversations, when they thought no one was watching. The twins were in their element, showing off their new unicorns and introducing their friends to Mama's special friend, Mr. Stone. They insisted he join in every game, from musical chairs to pin the tail on the unicorn. You're really good with them, Angela said, watching him help Jasmine adjust her blindfold for her turn at the unicorn game. They make it easy, Marcus replied. They're so amazing, Angela. You did such a wonderful job raising them. A shadow crossed Angela's face. Sometimes I wonder if I did the right thing, not telling you about them sooner. You did what you had to do. I wasn't ready then. I was too weak, too afraid of standing up to my father. And now? Now I'd move heaven and earth for them. Marcus looked at her intently. For all of you. The moment was interrupted by Crystal's excited squeal. Cake time! The cupcakes were a hit, though most of the chocolate frosting ended up on the children's faces. Marcus couldn't take his eyes off his daughters as everyone sang Happy Birthday. This was what he'd been missing all these years. Then came the presents. The twins were thrilled with their new bikes, immediately wanting to try them out. Marcus helped adjust the seats while Angela hovered nearby, reminding them to be careful. Best birthday ever, Crystal declared, pedaling wobbly circles on the path. Look, Mama, I'm doing it, Jasmine called out as she mastered her balance. As the party wound down and guests started leaving, Marcus helped Angela clean up. The twins were still riding their bikes under the watchful eye of Angela's mother, who had been politely distant with Marcus all afternoon. They'll sleep well tonight, Angela said, gathering up paper plates. All this excitement, she was interrupted by a commotion near the bikes. Jasmine had taken a fall, and her cries brought both parents running. Marcus reached her first, scooping her up instinctively. It's okay, baby. Daddy's got you. The words slipped out before he could stop them. Angela froze. The twins looked confused. Even Angela's mother stopped what she was doing. Daddy? Crystal asked, getting off her bike. You're our daddy? Marcus looked helplessly at Angela. This wasn't how it was supposed to happen. Angela took a deep breath. Girls, let's sit down for a minute. There's something we need to talk about. They gathered on a park bench, Jasmine. Still sniffling in Marcus's arms, Crystal pressed against her mother's side. Yes, Angela said softly. Mr. Stone is your father. I was waiting for the right time to tell you. But you said our daddy lived far away, Jasmine said accusingly. He did, sweetheart. For a long time. But now he's here, and he wants to be part of our family. Is that why you gave us so many presents? Crystal asked Marcus. Because you're our daddy? Marcus felt tears in his eyes. I gave you presents because I love you. I loved you before I even met you, and I'll love you forever. Do we have to call you Daddy now? Jasmine asked quietly. You can call me whatever makes you comfortable, Marcus assured her. Mr. Stone is still fine. Crystal looked thoughtful. Can we think about it? Of course, baby, Angela said, pulling her close. You can take all the time you need. Angela's mother finally approached. I think it's time to get the girls home. It's been an emotional day. Marcus reluctantly let go of Jasmine. He wanted to argue, to stay longer, to explain everything, but he knew Angela's mother was right. Thank you for coming, Angela said as they packed up the cars. And for the bikes, they love them. Angela, about what happened. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to blurt it out like that. Maybe it's better this way, she sighed. No perfect time. No perfect words, just the truth. The twins gave him hesitant hugs goodbye. As they drove away, Marcus could see them in the back seat, holding their unicorns close, whispering to each other. His phone buzzed. It was Patricia again. How was the party? Marcus texted back. They know I'm their father now, it just came out. Patricia's response was immediate. Come over, you look like you need a drink and a sister's advice. Marcus looked at the empty park, the remains of the party still visible in the late afternoon light. 7 years of birthdays missed, but he wouldn't miss another one. Never again. Patricia's penthouse apartment was exactly what you'd expect from a wealthy Manhattan socialite, all white furniture and modern art. Marcus sat on her pristine couch, nursing a scotch while his sister paced. You just blurted out, that you're their father? At their birthday party? Patricia shook her head. Oh, Marcus. It wasn't planned. Jasmine fell off her bike and I just reacted. What did Angela say? She handled it beautifully, like she handles everything. Marcus stared into his glass. Their grandmother looked like she wanted to murder me, though. Can you blame her? Patricia sat down next to him. She watched her daughter raise those girls alone while you lived the high life. I didn't know about them, but you knew about Angela. You knew where she worked. You could have reached out years ago, tried to make things right. Marcus couldn't argue with that. The guilt had been eating at him for weeks. I want to show them to Mom, Patricia said suddenly. She's not like Dad. She'd love them instantly. I can't just parade them around to meet the family. They're trying to process who I am. Patricia's phone chimed. She looked at it and frowned. Speaking of family, Dad's calling an emergency. Stone family meeting. Tomorrow night at the mansion. Marcus groaned. I'm not going. Yes, you are. Because if you don't, he'll just make things worse. Patricia squeezed his hand. Stand up to him, Marcus, for your daughters. The next morning, Marcus was surprised to find Angela waiting outside his office. We need to talk, she said, following him inside. The girls had nightmares last night. Marcus's heart sank. About me. About everything changing. They're scared, Marcus. They've had 7 years of routine, stability. Now suddenly they have a father and they don't know what that means. Tell me how to fix it. Crystal asked me if they have to live with you now. Jasmine wanted to know if you're going to take them away from me. Angela's voice cracked. They need reassurance. Marcus moved closer to her. I would never take them from you, never. You're their mother, their foundation. I know that. But they don't. All they know is that their world has turned upside down. Let me come over for dinner, Marcus suggested. Just a normal evening, no presents, no big revelations. Let them see that nothing has to change unless they want it to. Angela hesitated. My mother will be there. She's staying with us for a few weeks. Even better. Let her see that I'm serious about being part of their lives, the right way this time. After a long moment, Angela nodded. 7 o'clock. Don't be late. That evening, Marcus stood outside Angela's brownstone with a nervous flutter in his stomach. He could hear children's laughter inside. Angela's mother, Ruth, opened the door. Her expression was guarded but not hostile. Come in. The girls are doing homework. The house was warm and inviting, filled with family photos and children's artwork. Marcus saw the twins' report cards proudly displayed on the fridge, their dance recital costumes hanging on hooks, their backpacks lined up neatly by the door. This was what a real home looked like. Mr. Stone. Crystal looked up from her math worksheet. Did you bring more presents? Crystal, Angela warned. No presents today, Marcus smiled, but I thought maybe I could help with homework. Jasmine brightened. Can you help me with my science project? We're learning about buildings of I. Of course, his daughter would be interested in architecture. Marcus spent the next hour helping Jasmine design a structure made of popsicle sticks, while Crystal worked on her multiplication tables with Angela. Ruth watched from the kitchen as she prepared dinner, her expression softening slightly as she observed Marcus's gentle patience with the girls. Dinner's ready, she announced finally. Girls, wash your hands. Over chicken pot pie, the twins' favorite, the conversation flowed surprisingly easily. The girls talked about school, their friends, their upcoming dance competition. Marcus soaked in every detail. Can we show Daddy our room? Crystal asked when dinner was over. She looked immediately uncertain about using the word Daddy. It's okay, Marcus said quickly. Mr. Stone is fine, for now. And I'd love to see your room. The twins' bedroom was a perfect blend of their personalities. One side was all pink and unicorns, clearly crystals, while Jasmine's side had stars on the ceiling and science posters on the walls. I want to build skyscrapers when I grow up, Jasmine announced, showing him her collection of building blocks. She gets that from you, Angela said from the doorway. That drive to create something lasting. After the girls were in bed, Marcus helped Angela and Ruth clean up the kitchen. You're trying, Ruth said suddenly. I'll give you that. They're worth every effort, Marcus replied. I know I have a lot to make up for. Yes, you do. Ruth's voice was firm. Those girls are my heart, Marcus Stone. Don't you dare hurt them. I won't, I promise. As Marcus was leaving, Angela pulled him aside. There's something else you should know. The girls' school is having a father-daughter dance next month. Marcus's heart leaped. Do you think they want me to take them? They asked about you this morning. If you're really their father, why haven't you been to any father-daughter events before? The question hit him like a punch to the gut. What did you tell them? The truth that you didn't know about them, but now you do and you want to be there for everything. And what did they say? Angela smiled slightly. They want to know if you can dance. Marcus laughed, feeling tears in his eyes. I'll take lessons. I'll do whatever it takes. The dance is on the 15th. Don't make plans. Driving home, Marcus felt lighter than he had in weeks. But his phone kept buzzing with messages from Patricia, reminding him about the family meeting. Tomorrow he would have to face his father, face the whole Stone family. But tonight, he had helped his daughter with her science project, had dinner with his family and been invited to a father-daughter dance. Let his father say what he wanted. Marcus had finally found what really mattered. The Stone family mansion loomed ahead as Marcus drove through the iron gates. Every window was lit up, casting golden rectangles on the manicured lawn. His mother's roses still lined the circular driveway, just as they had 20 years ago when he'd last brought Angela here. Inside, the family was gathering in the formal living room. His father sat in his usual leather armchair like a king on his throne. Marcus's mother, Eleanor, perched nervously on the sofa beside Patricia. Various aunts, uncles, and cousins filled the remaining seats. "So nice of you to join us," Richard Stone said coldly as Marcus entered. "Let's skip the pleasantries, Father. Why are we here?" "We're here to discuss damage control." Richard gestured to a man Marcus didn't recognize. "This is Mr. Harrison from our PR firm. He has experience handling sensitive family matters." The PR man cleared his throat. "Mr. Stone, we've prepared a statement addressing the rumors about your daughters. We'll emphasize that you only recently learned of their existence and that you're taking responsible steps to provide for them financially while maintaining appropriate boundaries." Marcus felt his blood boil. Appropriate boundaries? Yes. We suggest minimal public contact to avoid any impact on the company's image. Of course, you'll set up trust funds, ensure their education is provided for. Get out. Marcus's voice was deadly quiet. "I beg your pardon. Get out of this house now." Marcus turned to his father. How dare you try to hide my children like they're something shameful?" "We're trying to protect the family name," Richard snapped. "Do you have any idea what this could do to our reputation, to our business relationships?" "I don't care about the family name," Marcus shouted. "I care about my daughters. I care about their mother. I care about the family I abandoned once before because I was too weak to stand up to you." Eleanor Stone gasped softly. Patricia reached for her mother's hand. "Those girls are Stones," Marcus continued. "They're your granddaughters. They're brilliant and beautiful and perfect, and I won't let you treat them like some dirty secret." "They're not Stones," Richard said dismissively. "They don't even have our name." "Then I'll change that. If Angela agrees, I'll give them my name legally. I'll tell the whole world they're mine. You'll destroy everything we've built." "No, Father. I'll build something better, something real." Eleanor finally spoke up. "What are they like?" Her voice was small but eager. "My granddaughters?" Marcus smiled, his anger softening. "Jasmine wants to be an architect. She's already designing buildings. And Crystal, she's a dancer. She lights up every room she enters." "Like Angela did," Eleanor said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. "Oh, don't act surprised. I remember her. She was the only girl Marcus ever brought home who cared more about what was in his heart than what was in his bank account." Richard stood up, leaning on his cane. "Eleanor, don't encourage this madness." "Madness?" Eleanor's voice strengthened. "The madness was driving her away, making our son choose between love and family. And look what it cost us. 7 years without our granddaughters." Patricia jumped in. "Mum's right, Dad. Times have changed. No one cares about the things you care about anymore. Mixed-race families are everywhere. It's normal." "Normal?" Richard spat. "In our social circle?" "Yes, even in our precious social circle," Patricia shot back. "The Andersons' son married a Korean woman. The Whitaker's daughter adopted children from Ethiopia. The world is changing, Dad. Catch up or get left behind." Marcus watched in amazement as his sister and mother stood up to his father. "Where was this support 20 years ago?" "I want to meet them," Eleanor announced. "My granddaughters. I want to know them." Over my dead body, Richard growled. That can be arranged, Eleanor said calmly. Everyone stared at her in shock. What? I've put up with your prejudices for 40 years, Richard. I won't let them cost me my granddaughters too. Marcus's. Phone buzzed. A text from Angela. Girls asking if you're coming to their dance practice tomorrow. He smiled as he typed back, wouldn't miss it. I'm leaving, he announced to his family. I have a dance class to attend tomorrow. If you walk out that door, Richard warned, you're no longer part of this family. No, father, if you don't accept my daughters, you're no longer part of my family. Marcus turned to his mother. Would you like to come to their dance recital next week? See your granddaughters perform? Eleanor beamed. I'd love to. Patricia already has the details. She can bring you. Marcus walked to the door, then paused. You know, father, all those years ago you said Angela wasn't good enough for our family. The truth is we weren't good enough for her, but I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of her and our daughters. With that, he walked out, leaving his father sputtering in rage behind him. His phone buzzed again. Angela had sent a photo of the twins in their pajamas, hugging their unicorns. Marcus felt tears in his eyes as he drove away from the mansion. He'd finally done what he should have done 20 years ago, chosen love over fear, family over fortune, truth over prejudice. Tomorrow, he would watch his daughters dance. He would help them with their homework. He would be the father they deserved. And maybe, just maybe, he would find a way to heal the wounds of the past and create the future he should have fought for all those years ago. His mother's words echoed in his mind. Like Angela did. Yes, Angela had always seen the best in him, even when he couldn't see it himself. Now it was his turn to prove her right, to be the man she had believed he could be. The city lights guided him home, each one a reminder of the promises he had to keep, the love he had to prove, and the family he would never let go of again. The father-daughter dance was just 2 weeks away, and Marcus was determined to make it perfect. He'd hired a private dance instructor and practiced every evening after work. His feet hurt, but his heart was full of purpose. You're getting better, his instructor said after another hour of waltz lessons. Your daughters will be proud. Daughters. The word still gave him goosebumps. That evening, he arrived at Angela's house for his now regular dinner visit. The twins had started expecting him, setting a place for him at the table without being asked. Daddy, Crystal called out as he entered. She'd started using the word naturally now, though Jasmine still went back and forth between Daddy and Mr. Stone. How are my favorite dancers? Marcus asked, accepting Crystal's hug and Jasmine's shy wave. We got our report cards today, Jasmine said. Want to see? Of course I do. Both girls had straight A's. Marcus felt a surge of pride so strong it almost knocked him over. They get their brains from their mother, Ruth said from the kitchen. She'd slowly warmed up to him over the past weeks, though she still watched him like a hawk. And their determination, Angela added, coming down the stairs in a business suit. Sorry, emergency client meeting. Can you stay with them until I get back? Marcus tried to hide his excitement. She'd never left him alone with the girls before. Of course, we'll be fine. After Angela left, Marcus helped the girls with their homework while Ruth prepared dinner. Everything was going smoothly until Crystal asked the question he'd been dreading. Daddy, why didn't you want us before? The room went silent. Even Ruth stopped stirring the pot on the stove. Marcus knelt down, to Crystal's level. Come here, both of you. He waited until both girls were sitting with him on the couch. I need you to understand something very important. I always would have wanted you. Always. I just didn't know about you. But why didn't you know? Jasmine asked. Didn't you love Mama? I loved your mother very much. I still do. The words slipped out before he could stop them. But I made a big mistake. I listened to people who told me we couldn't be together instead of listening to my heart. Was it because Mama's black? Crystal asked innocently. Tommy at school said his grandpa doesn't like black people. Marcus felt like he'd been punched in the gut. Ruth made a small sound from the kitchen. Some people, Marcus said carefully, have hate in their hearts. They judge others by the color of their skin, which is wrong. My father was one of those people. He told me I couldn't be with your mother and I was too weak to stand up to him. Is that why Grandpa Richard doesn't want to meet us? Jasmine, asked. "How do you know about that?" "We heard Grandma Ruth talking on the phone," Crystal admitted. Marcus looked at Ruth, who shrugged apologetically. "Listen to me," Marcus said firmly. "Your Grandpa Richard is missing out on knowing two of the most amazing girls in the world. That's his loss. But you have so many people who love you. Your mama, Grandma Ruth, your Aunt Patricia, your grandma." "Eleanor? Can we meet them?" Crystal asked eagerly. "Aunt Patricia and Grandma Eleanor? They really want to meet you. In fact," Marcus pulled out his phone and showed them a photo. "This is your Aunt Patricia. She's coming to your dance recital next week, and she's bringing your Grandma Eleanor." The girls studied the photo intently. "She's pretty," Crystal decided. "Will they like us?" Jasmine asked quietly. "They'll love you, just like I do." Ruth finally spoke up from the kitchen. "Dinner's ready. Girls, wash your hands." Over dinner, the twins peppered Marcus with questions about their new family members. Did Aunt Patricia have children? What kind of cookies did Grandma Eleanor make? Did they have any cousins? Marcus answered everything honestly, including the hard parts. Yes, some members of the family might take time to accept them, but the people who mattered, their mother, their grandmothers, their aunt, loved them unconditionally. After dinner, while the girls were getting ready for bed, Ruth pulled Marcus aside. "You handled that well," she said. "The questions about race, about your father. It's not easy explaining hate to children. I just wish they didn't have to learn about it at all. They're black girls in America. They need to know. But they also need to know they're loved and supported." Ruth squeezed his arm. "You're learning." The girls insisted Marcus read them a bedtime story. He sat between their beds, reading from their favorite book while they hugged their unicorns. "Daddy," Jasmine said sleepily as he finished the story, "I'm glad you found us." "Me too, baby, me too." When Angela came home, she found Marcus and Ruth having coffee in the kitchen. "Everything okay?" she asked, looking between them. "We had some hard conversations," Marcus said, "about my father, about racism. The girls had questions." Angela sat down heavily. "They're so young to deal with this." "They're strong," Ruth said, "like their mother, and now they have their father to help them navigate it too." Angela looked at Marcus with an expression he couldn't quite read. "You're really in this for the long haul, aren't you?" "Forever," he promised, "whatever it takes." Later that night, as Marcus was leaving, Angela stopped him at the door. "The girls told me what you said, about still loving me." Marcus's heart stopped. "Angela..." "Not now," she said softly. "We have enough to deal with. The girls need stability. They need to know this isn't temporary. None of this is temporary. My feelings for you, for them, it's all permanent." Angela touched his arm lightly. "Prove it. Not with words or gifts. With time, with consistency, with being there every day." "I will. I promise." As he drove home, Marcus thought about how much his life had changed in just a few weeks. His father wasn't speaking to him. His business partners were nervous and his social circle was buzzing with gossip. But none of that mattered. He had his daughter's love, Ruth's grudging respect, and maybe, just maybe, a chance to win back Angela's heart. His phone buzzed with a text from Patricia. "Mum's so excited about the recital. She's already bought them presents." Marcus smiled. His family was growing, changing, healing, not the way his father had planned, but exactly the way it was meant to be. The day of the dance recital arrived with a mix of excitement and tension. Marcus arrived early at the theater, helping Angela carry in the girls' costumes, while Ruth herded the excited twins through the stage door. "Patricia just texted," Marcus told Angela. "She and Mom are on their way." Angela smoothed her dress nervously. "Are you sure this is a good idea? Meeting your mother today of all days." "The girls are excited to meet her, and Mom's been waiting weeks for this." Backstage was chaos, with dozens of little dancers getting ready. Crystal and Jasmine were practically vibrating with excitement in their sparkly purple tutus. "Daddy, look," Crystal twirled. "We're the Sugar Plum Fairies." "You both look beautiful," Marcus said, his heart swelling with pride. A commotion at the stage door made them all turn. Patricia had arrived with Eleanor Stone, both women dressed elegantly and carrying enormous bouquets of flowers. "There they are," Patricia said softly to her mother. "Your granddaughters." Eleanor's hands trembled as she took in the sight of the twins. "Oh, Marcus," she whispered. They're perfect. The girls hung back shyly until Marcus beckoned them forward. Girls, this is your Aunt Patricia and your Grandma Eleanor. Crystal, always the bolder one, stepped forward first. Did you really bring those flowers? For us? Of course we did, sweetheart. Eleanor knelt down carefully, her designer dress touching the floor. Purple roses for my beautiful granddaughters. Jasmine edged closer. They're pretty, like the roses in the picture of your garden. Eleanor looked surprised. You've seen pictures of my garden? Daddy showed us, Jasmine explained. He said you love roses like I love stars. Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. She opened her arms and, after a moment's hesitation, both girls moved in for a hug. Angela watched the scene with mixed emotions. Ruth put a protective hand on her daughter's shoulder. Places. Everyone, the dance teacher called out. 5 minutes to curtain. As the girls scampered off to join their class, Eleanor approached Angela. Thank you, she said simply, for raising them so beautifully, for giving them so much love. They make it easy, Angela replied, using Marcus's words from weeks ago, the way. Lights dimmed and everyone took their seats. Marcus found himself sitting between his mother and Angela, with Patricia and Ruth on either end of their row. The recital was magical. When the twins came on stage for their number, Eleanor gripped Marcus's hand tightly. The girls danced perfectly, their faces glowing with joy under the stage lights. Then everything changed. Richard Stone appeared at the end of their row, leaning heavily on his cane. So it's true, he said loudly, drawing attention from nearby. Parents, the whole family here to watch the half-breed bastards dance. Marcus shot to his feet, but Angela was faster. Get out, she hissed. How dare you come here? It's a public theater, Richard sneered. I have every right to see what's destroying my family's reputation. Other parents were turning to stare. On stage, the dance number was ending. The twins would be looking for their family in the audience any moment. Eleanor stood up, her voice sharp as a blade. Richard Stone, you leave this theater right now or I swear I will call security. You're choosing them over me, your own husband? I'm choosing love over hate, Eleanor said firmly. I'm choosing my granddaughters over your prejudice. Marcus was right. We should have done this 20 years ago. Patricia stepped forward. Dad, please, don't do this. Not here, not now. You're all insane, Richard spat, throwing away generations of respectability for these. He never finished the sentence. Ruth Williams, quiet, dignified Ruth, slapped him hard across the face. Those are my granddaughters you're talking about, she said calmly. And if you ever come near them again, I'll do worse than slap you. Security guards were approaching now, drawn by the commotion. Richard looked around at the hostile faces surrounding him, his son, his wife, his daughter, and the woman who had just struck him. This isn't over, he threatened, but allowed the guards to escort him out. Angela was trembling. Marcus put his arm around her without thinking, and she didn't pull away. Mama! Daddy! Crystal's voice rang out. The twins were running down the aisle in their tutus, faces glowing with post-performance excitement. Did you see us? Jasmine asked. Did we do good? You were wonderful, Eleanor said quickly, smoothing her dress and wiping her eyes. The best sugar plum fairies I've ever seen. Why was everyone looking back here? Crystal asked. Did something happen? Marcus exchanged looks with Angela. Nothing important, sweetheart. Just some grown-up stuff. Can we go get ice cream? Jasmine asked. To celebrate? Ice cream sounds perfect, Patricia jumped in. I know a place that makes purple ice cream. Would you like that? As the twins chatted excitedly about purple ice cream, the adults gathered their things. Ruth was still fuming. Eleanor looked shaken and Angela wouldn't let go of Marcus's hand. At the ice cream parlor, watching the girls introduce their new grandmother to the joys of bubblegum ice cream, Marcus felt a strange peace settle over him. I'm sorry about my father, he said quietly to Angela. Don't be, you're not responsible for his hate. She squeezed his hand. But you are responsible for bringing love into our lives. Eleanor and Patricia, they're wonderful with the girls. They've been waiting a long time to love them. Angela watched as Eleanor helped Jasmine wipe ice cream from her chin while Patricia and Crystal took selfies with purple-stained tongues. Your mother is nothing like him, she observed. No, she's not. She was just afraid, like I was. But not anymore. Ruth joined them, still looking fierce. That man better not show his face around my grandbabies again. "Grandma Ruth," Crystal called out. "Come try the purple ice cream. It matches our tutus." As Ruth went to join the ice cream tasting, Marcus turned to Angela. "Move in with me," he said suddenly. Angela stared at him. "What?" "Not like that. I mean, I bought the brownstone next to yours. It's being renovated now. I want to be closer. To the girls, to help with school runs and bedtime stories. To be there every day. Marcus, I know it's fast, I know we have a lot to work through, but I want to be there, Angela, for everything. No more part-time parenting." Before she could respond, Jasmine came running over. "Daddy, Grandma Eleanor says she can teach us about roses. Can we go see her garden?" Marcus looked at Angela, waiting for her answer to both questions. "We'll talk about it," she said softly. "All of it." It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no either. For now, that was enough. The night of the father-daughter dance arrived clear and cool. Marcus adjusted his bow tie nervously in the mirror of Angela's guest bathroom. After the incident at the recital, she'd invited him to get ready at her house so he could help the girls prepare. "Daddy," Crystal called from upstairs, "I can't find my shoe." "Under your bed," Angela's voice replied. "Where it always is." Marcus smiled. These everyday moments had become precious to him. In the 2 weeks since he'd bought the brownstone next door, he'd been spending more and more time here, learning the rhythms of his daughters' lives. He climbed the stairs to find organized chaos in the twins' bedroom. Angela was braiding Crystal's hair while Jasmine practiced her dance steps in front of the mirror. Both girls wore matching pale blue dresses that Eleanor had helped them pick out. "So you look beautiful," Marcus told them. "Both of you." "You look handsome too, Daddy," Jasmine said, twirling to face him. "Like a prince." Ruth appeared in the doorway with her camera. Picture time. Everyone together. The twins rushed to pose with Marcus. After a moment's hesitation, Angela joined them. "Perfect," Ruth said, snapping away. "The whole family." Family. The word made Marcus's heart skip. He caught Angela's eye in the mirror, and she gave him a small smile. "We better go," she said. "Don't want to be late." The school gymnasium had been transformed into a fairy tale ballroom, with twinkling lights and paper flowers everywhere. Other fathers and daughters were already arriving, filling the space with excited chatter. "Stone? Marcus Stone?" A man approached them. "I didn't know you had children." Marcus recognized him as one of his business associates. "Allow me to introduce my daughters, Crystal and Jasmine." The man looked surprised, then uncomfortable, as he noticed Angela standing nearby. But before he could say anything, the music started. "Daddy, dance with me first." Crystal tugged his hand. "No, me," Jasmine countered. "How about both of you?" Marcus offered his arms to his daughters. All those dance lessons were about to pay off. As they moved across the floor, Marcus caught glimpses of Angela watching from the sidelines, her eyes soft. Other parents were staring, whispering, but he didn't care. His world had narrowed to this moment, this dance with his precious girls. "Can we do the special dance now?" Crystal asked. "The one we practiced?" Marcus nodded. They'd been secretly rehearsing a routine to Butterfly Kisses, the girls' favorite song. As the music changed, they took their positions. Angela gasped as she watched her daughters dance with their father. Marcus lifted them, spun them, and even did a few ballet moves he'd learned just for this night. The other dancers stopped to watch. When the song ended, the room erupted in applause. The twins beamed with pride. "That was wonderful," Angela said as they rejoined. When did you practice?" "Every Tuesday and Thursday while you were at your late meetings," Jasmine explained. "It was a surprise." "The best kind of surprise," Angela smiled, touching Marcus's arm. The evening flew by in a blur of dances, punch and cookies. Near the end, during a slow song, Crystal fell asleep in Marcus's arms while Jasmine swayed tiredly against him. "Time to go home," Angela said softly. Home. The word hung between them, full of possibility. Marcus carried Crystal while Angela guided a sleepy Jasmine to the car. The drive back was quiet, both girls dozing in the back seat. At Angela's house, their house really, since he spent most of his time there now, Ruth helped get the twins ready for bed, while Marcus and Angela sat on the front steps. "I've been thinking about your offer," Angela said quietly. About the brownstone next door. Marcus held his breath. The girls need consistency, she continued. They need to know you're not going anywhere. And I need... She paused. I need to know that too. I'm not going anywhere, Marcus promised, ever. Then yes, move in next door. Be here for breakfast and homework and bedtime stories. Be here for everything. Marcus took her hand. Angela, I'm not ready for more, she said quickly. Not yet, but I'm ready for this. For our family to be whole again. From upstairs came the sound of giggles as Ruth helped the twins get ready for bed. Daddy, Crystal called out, come tell us a story. You better go, Angela smiled. They won't sleep without their story now. Marcus stood up, still holding her hand. Come with me, she did. The girls were already in bed, clutching their unicorns. Ruth slipped out quietly as Marcus and Angela sat between the twin beds. Tell us a love story, Crystal requested sleepily. Once upon a time, Marcus began, looking at Angela, there was a young man who fell in love with the most beautiful, brilliant woman in the world. But he was foolish and afraid, and he let her go. What happened then, Jasmine asked, though her eyes were drooping. Then, many years later, he saw her again. And he discovered that while he was busy building towers of glass and steel, she had built something far more precious, a family. 2 perfect little girls who had her smile and his eyes. Did they live happily ever after? Crystal mumbled. Angela took Marcus's hand. They're working on it, baby, they're working on it. The twins were asleep before the story ended, but Marcus and Angela stayed, watching their daughters dream. I never stopped loving you, Marcus whispered. Not for a single day. I know, Angela replied, but love isn't enough on its own. It needs courage and commitment and fighting for what matters. I'm ready to fight now. For them, for you, for us. Angela squeezed his hand. Then let's build something new, something stronger, together. Outside, the city hummed with life. Next door, workers were finishing the renovations on Marcus's new home. Soon the sounds of his daughter's laughter would fill both houses, connecting them like their hearts already were. And in that quiet moment, watching their daughters sleep, Marcus and Angela found their way back to each other, not with grand gestures or dramatic declarations, but with the simple truth of family, of belonging, of love that never really died. The end was really just another beginning. A family reunited, wounds healing, love blooming again like Eleanor's roses. And 2 little girls who would grow up knowing they were loved, completely and unconditionally, by both their parents. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and that made it better than any fairy tale ending could ever be.